thrilled to see everybody holding the line.
Yes.
Yes, Trump is still in there, and I got to tell you, from all the research that I've been doing for the last week and all the updates, you got to go to my thedeplorablereport.com, but also, mostly important, see my podcast at rumble.com/thedeplorableauthor, because I update you almost daily now. But I want to talk real briefly about my experience in Washington, D.C. on the 6th. Now, many of you probably know that I'm very involved as well in marches downtown with patriot groups such as Carl's and Jeff Hawks and the Blue Thunder. And we started going down to those to downtown after we saw what Antifa and BLM were doing to residents down there, diners. How many of you have seen those viral videos of Antifa jumping on cars and all that? So anyway, because of my experience there, I had the unique perspective to be able to identify Antifa at the January 6th march up Constitution Avenue. And I wanted to share that experience with you all, because as patriots, we can easily find ourselves getting sucked in to their tactics and being used by them, like we saw what happened at the Capitol. Now, let me tell you how I recognized that Antifa was there. So I was walking up Constitution Avenue, and everybody was in a great mood, and you know what patriot rallies are like. I've been going to them since I was a Tea Party member in 2010. So I'm walking behind this guy that is on rollerblades, young kid. He was probably about 25. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a patriot. There's no way. We don't go around on rollerblades, right? But they do. And I've seen it downtown. I've seen them on skateboards. I've seen them on bicycles. And those are always their scouts. Understand that. They send scouts out to see what our crowds are like, who's doing what, where we're going, what the talk is amongst us. They try to befriend us. So be on the lookout at any rallies that you go to. They'll dress like us, they'll try to act like us, but they never will be us. So here's another telltale sign. Right after I see that, I start hearing a guy on a bullhorn. Now, all patriots were told to leave their bullhorns back at the hotel rooms amongst some other items. Okay, so I left mine there. Then I'm hearing this guy in a bullhorn, and this was his chant. What does democracy look like? What's the answer to that? This is what democracy looks like. Now, is that our chant? No. That is not a patriot's chant. That's theirs. We've heard that, if you've been paying attention, since Occupy Wall Street 10 years ago in New York City and all over the country. I've heard that downtown St. Petersburg. Have you, Carl? That is their chant. I knew immediately because of my experience. So you guys remember that, but you know what they were using that chant for? To get us to go along, because they understand that if they can get us to start repeating what they're saying and to start doing what they say to do, they've got us in the palm of their hands, and they can lead us to slaughter like a group of cattle. And that's what they did, right up into the Capitol. Okay, now, they started off with just a few people repeating that chant. This is what democracy looks like. But before you knew it, the entire group of patriots, the entire street up and down Constitution Avenue, were chanting that back. They knew they had us. They were leading us right up to the Capitol steps, and we were going hook, line, and sinker. Now, I got up pretty close to the Capitol steps when all the tear gas and the flashbangs, whatever they call them, canisters were going off. I saw a few, we were packed in like sardines there, and I saw a few patriots run past me with their eyes watering and coughing. So I knew it was tear gas that hit them. So that's when me and the 4 other women I was with decided, well, it's time to turn around and get the hell out of here, because quite frankly, we would have been trampled if everybody started running down that hill. So that's when I left, and later on in the hotel room, that's where I was totally convinced that everybody in that Capitol, not everybody, but the leaders in that Capitol were Antifa, and this is why. This is another thing to look for, and I'm telling you guys this because we need to be a step ahead of them, not the other way around. And we are still playing behind the 8 ball with the left and their tactics. In my book, by the way, Rules for Deplorables, for those who don't know, I take Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. He wrote that back in the 70s. And he is the idol of Hillary Clinton as well as Obama. Okay, he writes in his book, Rules for Radicals, he writes 13 tactics to be used against us in order to transform our country to socialism, aka communism. And we are perilously close. So I take every one of his tactics, open up a chapter with each one, and explain by using current events exactly how they're being used against us and how we need to turn it around and use it against them. Guess what? Our president has been doing exactly that for the last 4 years. Thank God we have somebody who understands this. And right now, all the tactics all the stuff that you're hearing about online, all the hopeful things that we're all just praying actually are in the making. Our president's not stupid. I don't believe he's going to go away with a whimper. Ain't no way.
He's 2 steps ahead of him.
He's way more than 2 steps ahead of them.
Okay,
And so when everybody has been saying for the past 4 years, I wish he'd tweet less, or I wish he would act more presidential, guess what? They were listening to the left. Every time they said that, they were taking power from our president and giving it to the left. That's got to stop. So he's using right now, in my estimation, tactic number 3, whenever possible. Go outside the experience of your enemy. In other words, the element of surprise. And folks, we're about to see what that surprise is coming up here on January 20th.
that's what I'm talking about.
And one last thing before I go, I just want to point out a couple other ways I knew that was Antifa on the Capitol steps when I saw them later in the news. Because I went home, of course, to my hotel room. I'm looking and watching the news, see what the hell happened. And when they were up on those Capitol, that platform there, and you saw a guy that looked like a patriot, and he had what they're calling a bike rack, which is really a crowd control fencing, basically. And they had the Trump flag on that fencing, and they were ramming the Capitol doors. Folks, common sense, please.
We don't do that crap.
We don't do that. In the 10 years I've been involved with rallies, I've never once seen trash left. I've never once seen the defacing of monuments. I've never once seen the destruction of buildings, especially not our historic buildings and revered buildings like our United States Capitol.
Not who we are.
No way. Another thing that caught my eye, they were all wearing helmets.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been to a Patriot rally
Me either.
where they were wearing helmets. It's ridiculous. And the last thing I saw, folks, that convinced me, and think hard about this one. Do you remember seeing a guy with an American flag? He was carrying it. That flag was soiled, it was worn, and it was torn. How many patriots here would ever carry an American flag like that? Never. Those weren't patriots, folks. Those were Antifa. The truth will come out. And those 10 traitor Republicans who turned on our president, Liz Cheney, led that group. They are finished. Let's stay active. God bless you guys for being here. God bless our President, Donald J. Trump, and God bless America. Thank you, Paul, for everything you do.